On this edition for Sunday, December 15th, the House of Representatives prepares for a historic vote this week. And in our signature segment, a return to Riace, Italy. Once a welcome haven for migrants, now the global village is practically vacant. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg, Charles Rosenblum. We try to live in the moment, to not miss what's right in front of us. At Mutual of America, we believe taking care of tomorrow can help you make the most of today. Mutual of America Financial Group, retirement services and investments. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Hari Srinivasan.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. This week, the Democratic majority House of Representatives are moving ahead with an anticipated party line vote on impeaching President Trump. Today, House Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff defended moving ahead with the vote, even though the majority Republican Senate would likely vote to acquit in an impeachment trial.
If President Trump is overwhelmingly acquitted in the Senate, is that a failure?
No, it isn't a failure. At least it's not a failure in the sense of our constitutional duty in the House.
One House Democrat who is not expected to vote in favor of impeachment is Representative Jeff Van Drew. Multiple news reports yesterday said the New Jersey congressman met with President Trump on Friday and may announce a switch to the Republican Party this week. Van Drew, a moderate Democrat, was elected in 2018 to a formerly Republican-held district which voted for Trump. He was one of only two House Democrats who voted against the impeachment process in October. Van Drew said on Fox News, quote, "There is nothing that has turned up that truly is impeachable." Last night, President Trump tweeted that would be big. Always heard Jeff is very smart in response to news that Van Drew was believed to be strongly considering switching parties. China announced today that it will postpone further punitive tariffs on U.S.-made automobiles and other goods. Prior to Friday's interim trade deal, Beijing had planned to impose 25% duties that would have gone into effect today. The trade agreement requires the U.S. to halt a planned tariff hike on $160 billion worth of Chinese goods and cut in half all existing penalties. In turn, China agrees to buy $40 billion worth of U.S. crops over the next 2 years. California Governor Gavin Newsom rejected a $13.5 billion settlement from PG&E late Friday. The utility company had reached the billion-dollar agreement last week with thousands of victims who were impacted by devastating wildfires. The decision forces the utility company back to the bargaining table to renegotiate its bankruptcy restructuring plan. Newsom is demanding that the company clearly address how it will better provide safe and reliable power to its customers. To emerge from bankruptcy protection, PG&E must finalize a deal before a June 30th deadline. In Italy, a new movement has emerged in opposition to former Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini's far-right populism. It's called the Sardines movement because of their capacity to pack themselves into piazzas. Yesterday, tens of thousands turned out to protest Salvini's populist politics and anti-migrant language, but in some places, his rhetoric has taken hold. Early this year, we brought you a story from the Italian town of Riace, which gained a reputation for welcoming migrants until a new populist government brought that experiment to an end. Now, Italy has changed governments again, and NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Christopher Livesay has an update to our story.
Tucked up in the hills along Italy's southern coast is a small town with a big reputation. We first visited Riace in 2016. It had become famous during the height of the immigration crisis in Europe for welcoming migrants and refugees. With a smile.
Poco lite italiano.
The mayor at the time, Domenico Lucano, proudly introduced us to some of them, like this woman from Afghanistan. The town provided refugees like her with work in specialty shops, training in small workshops, and other jobs around town.
Albania, Pakistan.
It housed them in formerly abandoned apartments in an innovative program mostly paid for with government funds. Mayor Lucano was even named one of Fortune magazine's 50 greatest world leaders for his integration policies. The many refugees and migrants we met, like Daniel Yaboa, who's originally from Ghana and had a job collecting trash and recyclables, said they were grateful to the people of Riace.
They are friendly, those things, and they are used to foreigners. They are used to welcome everybody here. So I'm very happy, and I'm here now.
But returning 3 years later, we found a very different scene in Riace.
I see. Infatti, I think this is one of the workshops where they were working in wool. It's closed.
The once busy so-called global village, which was the heart of the immigrant area, is now more like a ghost town. The specialty shops and workshops that had employed and trained migrants are all closed. Most of the migrants are gone too.
As you can see, it's not like before. So
Daniel Yaboa is one of the few still left.
it's not a good thing, you know. I'm just feeling bad for my colleagues, my friends, you know. For me, you know, I've been here for past 10 years, so for me, it's not a problem for me, but I'm just feeling pity for my colleagues.
What happened? A political sea change. A once fringe party called the League, which has a blunt Italians first anti-immigration message, won in local elections this past spring. Claudio Falchi, the League's leader here at the time, credits the victory to a major backlash against the migrant program in once left-leaning Riace.
Del paese invaso.
Against the will of the town, we were invaded by a myriad of nationalities. People coming from Ghana, Ivory Coast, Senegal. That is, from countries where there aren't any wars. Economic migrants. Citizens here felt abandoned.
At a local cafe, people told us they felt overwhelmed by the number of migrants.
Invadere.
That's an invasion. Because of the numbers, even if you ask the left, how many migrants do we have to host? They don't tell you how many. Are we supposed to get all of Africa?
Riace also elected a new mayor, League-backed Antonio Trifoli. He replaced Lucano, who's being investigated for mismanagement of the refugee program funds, charges Lucano's supporters say are politically motivated. With Lucano gone, the refugee program collapsed and the migrants moved away, according to the new mayor.
I think an integration project for migrants makes sense, but only with a limited number. At times we had 500 to 600 migrants here.
Now how many migrants are here? Adesso quante ce ne sono?
Adesso sono rimaste
Now there are only a few families, those who were truly unable to integrate. 10, 20 families, let's say about 50 migrants.
If there used to be 600 migrants and now there's only 50, where did all the migrants go?
sono andati.
They went to other migration centers in Italy. Some went to France. A lot of them left on their own. Or they had to leave because of the investigation. And the Interior Ministry closed the nonprofit that was running their project. As soon as the public money stopped coming in, these workshops closed. And national politics changed in Italy too.
He's right.
Riace may be an isolated village, but what's happening here is not an isolated event. The League Party is now the most powerful party in the country, and it's leading a movement across Europe.
The League's leader is Matteo Salvini. Up until recently, he was also deputy prime minister. He lost that position recently, but he and his party are still the most popular in the country, polling at more than 30%. And Salvini has his eye on a comeback. The League recently won in Umbria, yet another historically left-wing region in central Italy. Roberto Minotti with the Aspen Institute Italia says the League has successfully capitalized on the issue that's kept Europe in knots in recent years, migration, making a dramatic promise to voters about the flow of migrants into the country.
The argument in previous government, center-left government especially, was we will manage the phenomenon for you. We cannot stop the flow. Now Salvini is actually sending a different message. We'll actually try to stop the flow. Which in the past, essentially no government really even tried to make as an argument.
Minotti says the League's slogan, Italians First, is of the kind that may sound familiar to Americans.
And of course it has a Trumpian ring to it. So a feeling that you have to make sure that most of your national resources actually go to your own citizens first. So that feeling is very widespread, and certainly the League has been exploiting that politically.
Minotti notes there's another thing Salvini has in common with President Trump.
He tweets a lot. He also is a great fan of selfies, so he's extremely savvy in terms of social media.
Natalie Tocci is deputy director of the International Affairs Institute.
He doesn't necessarily want people to like him. The point is being talked about. This is very much the tactic that nationalist populist leaders use across the West. They make the news.
And Salvini's greater ambitions became evident at a large rally in Milan earlier this year. He addressed a cheering crowd, kissing a crucifix, and introducing some of Europe's biggest far-right leaders.
No more dictates from the EU superstate.
They included the Dutch politician Geert Wilders.
No more immigration.
Basta immigrazione.
Basta Islam.
And France's far-right party leader Marine Le Pen. We're taking this revolution of good sense to all of Europe, she told the crowd.
The key message was the League is not only very successful at a national level, it is also a European force with the ability to actually use this general movement to the right across the continent as a new political tool.
But there are limits to how influential one nationalist party can be, according to Tocci.
The point about nationalists is precisely that they're nationalists, so they tend to not agree with one another. They may like each other politically, but they're completely unable to cooperate and help each other on a policy level.
Whether the right wing will manage to unite is unclear. But it's already having an impact on people like Yaboa in places like Riace.
For me, it's not a good thing for the city too. You can see everywhere is quiet.
And Minotti says the trend will continue for some time to come.
The reasons why a party like the League and a leader like Salvini can become very popular very quickly are there to stay. And they have to do with globalization, with the impact of economic inequalities and so on. All issues that are more or less felt in the same way in the United States, just as in Europe. So there are reasons to keep watching what happens in places like Italy.
Back in 1975, the number of Border Patrol agents in the United States was just over 1,700. Today, with more than 10 times that number, the U.S. Border Patrol is one of the largest and most well-funded enforcement agencies in the United States. A new documentary set in rural Arizona sheds light on how the agency's expansion has impacted one small community along the country's southern border. NewsHour Weekend's Yvette Feliciano has the story.
In the new documentary, Undeterred, filmmaker and activist Eva Lewis depicts life in the southern border town of Arivaca, Arizona. It's a community of fewer than 700, about 60 miles south of Tucson and 11 miles north of the Mexico border. Lewis moved to Arivaca in 2013 to volunteer with a local migrant aid group.
People in Arivaca will talk about how in the 80s and even the early 90s, there was one Border Patrol agent who was responsible for the whole area around Arivaca, and you would see him maybe once a year.
That began to change some 35 years ago.
The administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards.
Starting in 1994 under President Clinton, a U.S. Customs and Border Enforcement strategy called Operation Prevention Through Deterrence more than tripled the manpower and infrastructure along the border. Immigration checkpoints were positioned on all major roads in the area. Lewis says that today, Arivaca is what she calls a militarized zone.
You'll be driving on the road and you might see one car or no cars of another resident, but you might see 10, 15 Border Patrol cars pass you. It means helicopters which fly low, chasing people who they're looking for through the community. It means thousands of ground sensors that are buried, agents on horseback, on foot, on ATVs, and it means checkpoints every time you want to leave the community.
Most residents don't work in Arivaca, and there is no elementary or high school in town. So every day, people leaving the community on the one road going north must pass through a checkpoint.
So if you want to go to the hardware store, go see a movie, go to a grocery store that's bigger than the little store we have in town. Everybody has to pass through Border Patrol checkpoints.
The documentary includes videos and first-hand accounts contributed by Arivaca residents, alleging unwarranted searches and verbal harassment by border agents at that checkpoint on Arivaca Road. Arivaca resident Jolene Montana speaks for many in the film.
We're like, well, you know, we're U.S. citizens. Why are you stopping us? They wouldn't give us any answers. They were very aggressive. Got us out of the vehicle, threw everything out of the vehicle, went through all our purses. We were trying to film them on the phones, and they were like, nah, you can't do that. One of them had me up against the car, right in my face. He had my ID, and he had my tribal ID. And he says, you know, you have no rights here.
Arivaca residents Lisa Jacobson and Carlota Rey were also featured in the documentary.
Border Patrol operates with pretty much impunity. And it doesn't operate like any other law enforcement. It's not really civilian, it's not really military, it's not like a sheriff's department or police department where if you have a complaint, it may not get the result that you wish, but at least there are civilian boards of oversight, ways to handle things, but that doesn't exist in Border Patrol.
Filmmaker Eva Lewis says U.S. Customs and Border Protection did not respond to her request for an interview for the documentary. PBS NewsHour Weekend also reached out to CBP for an interview or written statement for this report, but the agency did not respond. The documentary highlights local activism through the volunteer group People Helping People in the Border Zone, or PHP, which formed in 2012.
And we're here to deliver this petition.
Residents are shown petitioning for the removal of the checkpoints on Arivaca Road.
This checkpoint must go.
Since 2014, PHP volunteers have monitored from a distance how agents conduct stops. That year, the group says it submitted information related to more than 2,300 vehicle stops to a data scientist at the University of Arizona for analysis.
Latinos were 26 times more likely to show identification at the checkpoint than non-Latinos. And they were 20 times, not 20%, but 20 times more likely to be pulled into secondary inspection.
When I go with my sister or my brother-in-law or even my own kids or grandkids, because of the color of the skin, they usually ask more questions.
Most of Arivaca's residents are white, but it does have small Native and Latino populations as well. Carlota Rey, who was born in Mexico, is a naturalized American citizen and has lived in Arivaca since 1980.
But it really still hurts my feelings because there are agents on each side of your car with heavily armed. And I don't know what they'll do, you know.
But Rey says racial profiling isn't her biggest concern. The Border Patrol strategy, Operation Prevention Through Deterrence, closed off traditional ports of entry from Mexico into the U.S. closer to main roads and highways, rerouting migrants to some of the most barren areas of the desert. In the last 20 years, more than 3,000 migrants have died in Arizona's borderlands, according to the Pima County Office of the Medical Examiner. Rey says those who do survive the journey often end up lost and in desperate circumstances in the town of Arivaca.
They come very ill to our doors, to our backyards, and it's a very bad experience, and only the person that goes through that knows how it is. I always keep my eyes open to see if I see anyone in the side of the road, because I have found somebody dying in the side of the road. So it's like something that's always in the back of my head.
Filmmaker Eva Lewis hopes the documentary will give people outside of border communities insight into how they too could be affected.
I think people should be really concerned about what it means to dehumanize one group of people and what that can mean in terms of it bleeding into all parts of society and daily life for everyone.
Last month, PEN America, a nonprofit organization for literature and freedom of expression, released a report detailing the loss of local news coverage in communities across the United States. The findings noted that as a result, Americans are not adequately informed and less likely to engage in political and civic life. I recently sat down with Victoria Vilk, manager of special projects for free expression programs at PEN America and one of the co-authors of the report. So Victoria, lay out the local news problem for us.
We spent the last year, my colleagues and I at PEN America, talking to dozens of journalists, elected officials, community activists, and media scholars, and we were hearing the same refrain over and over again. Local news outlets across the country are shrinking and shuttering at an alarming rate, and it is very bad news for our communities. If you look at some very powerful studies that have come out in the last 2 years, what they found is that if you look at just newspapers over the last 15 years, they've lost $35 billion in ad revenue, and nearly 50%, nearly half of staff. Over 2,000 newspapers have shut down across the country, local newspapers, and over 1,000 more are ghost papers, so they're just shells of their former selves. They're producing very little original reporting. And the reason newspapers matter is because if you think of journalism as an ecosystem where you also have TV, radio, social media, all the places people get their information, newspapers are still providing the bulk of original reporting at the local level. So when you lose them, you lose that watchdog function that is so important in our democracy.
So it's if there isn't anybody watching the city council meetings and going to them, there's potential for abuse or fraud. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, and there's a growing body of very compelling and very frightening literature that shows that as local news declines, government corruption and government costs increase, officials conduct themselves with less integrity and efficiency. We also know that local news drives civic engagement. So there are fewer people going out to vote, and they don't know exactly who's running for office or what that person's platform is because they don't have local sources that they trust to turn to for that information. So the consequences can be really dire. And as we enter an election cycle that is rife with political polarization and disinformation, we need trusted local sources now more than ever.
So which communities are affected the most? I mean, is this hitting rural areas or smaller markets? Is it communities of color that don't have other publications paying attention to them?
It's all of that and more. So when we started this project, we were thinking almost exclusively of news deserts, right? Places where there isn't a local outlet of some kind. And then we realized, spending a year working on this project, that this is a national problem and it affects major cities, rural communities, small and mid-sized towns, and everything in between. But you are absolutely right that it is precisely the communities that have actually historically been underserved by local media, communities of color, rural communities, low-income communities, that are now being most severely affected by this crisis. So you have major outlets in the black press, Hispanic language outlets, Native American outlets are all shutting down. They're under the same pressure, but they didn't have the financial support and stability that legacy outlets once had.
For more on the decline of local journalism, watch here or visit pbs.org/newshour. So you have, 4 pages of recommendations in this. Summarize some of that for us. What can we do? What should get done?
Our top line recommendation is that we actually have to radically shift how we think about journalism in this country so that we are no longer thinking of it exclusively as a commercial product, but also as a public good, a service that is so vital to society that we must support it through public and private means and protect it. And so there are a number of things we propose. There is an enormous amount of innovation taking place in the industry itself. There are nonprofit outlets popping up, digital outlets popping up, but they need money. And so what we suggest is radically expanding philanthropic funding. Right now, foundations have led the way. They're giving hundreds of millions of dollars a year. What we need is billions of dollars a year. And that giving is not going to local outlets, and it's very concentrated on the coasts and in a handful of states in between. It's not hitting the Southwest, the Midwest, the South, right, and rural communities and low-income communities in particular. We're also recommending actually majorly expanding the pool of public funding that's available to journalism, either through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is our existing model, or perhaps through a National Endowment for Journalism.
Right now, in this climate, that is a pretty difficult ask.
The reason we are saying that we need to think big is because the crisis is that bad. What a lot of Americans don't realize is that we have actually subsidized commercial media since 1792. Through postal subsidies, through tax breaks, and through government ads. 36 states across this country actually support media. But we're doing so at a rate somewhere between 25 and 30 times less per person than most of the high-income democracies in the rest of the world.
All right, Victoria Vilk from PEN America, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tune in this week for more on the House impeachment vote and on Thursday when NewsHour, along with Politico, hosts the 6th Democratic presidential debate from California. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wackenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg, Charles Rosenblum. We try to live in the moment to not miss what's right in front of us. At Mutual of America, we believe taking care of tomorrow can help you make the most of today. Mutual of America Financial Group, retirement services and investments. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
You're watching PBS.